Sorry, I got a whole lot of technology. Oh. All right. How's that? Okay, it's not reverbing. Okay. So welcome to the special meeting of the Henry County Commissioners, May 12th, 2022. If you would stand for the pledge and prayer.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you would be pleased with the way we conduct this meeting, Lord. We ask you to bless our county and bless this nation, and we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
So tonight's meeting is basically sales pitch from the two organizations that have placed bids on what we refer to as the annex building. We didn't really talk about who wants to go first, but Jeff, since you're sitting in the farther closest, we'll have you go first. We anticipated I don't know if it went out in the bid, but we anticipate 30 minutes for presentation and then any questions from anybody afterwards. So you're on. And I do have what you emailed, but if you want me, we're going to attempt it to put it up on the screen. Just let me know.
That's the only way it's going to get on the screen.
Sorry?
That'll be the only way it gets on the screen. It's green, so it must be on.
If I may ask one question, is the person that's Perry, is that your partner, Andrew? Okay. I'm hoping whoever is in Zoom can hear. If they can give a thumbs up or something. I don't know if anybody can hear through Zoom, but we'll see. All right, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. Preserve Henry County is a local nonprofit 501c3. We have worked on 2 previous projects, and that's at the end of the proposal, so I think you've had a chance to look at those. We can talk about those after. With this project, we've been over 2 years trying to get something done with this project. I know the buildings continue to deteriorate inside. It sounds like it is. Can you hear? Okay. Yeah. So we propose to redo the tuck pointing and the brick of the complete envelope of the building. We also are looking at wanting to be historically correct with the building, so there's no major changes we want to do. We just want to rehab what's there. The windows on the 2nd and 3rd floors, we'll have those restored. We have a local company that's from McCordsville area. They've done some work for us. They've also done some work for the city. We're looking at restoring the glass prism tiles on the 3 sides of the building, and that'll take a while. We have a lady who's done some work for us before on 1321 Broad Street, 23. So she's recommended by Indiana Landmarks. She works for Historic Madison down in Madison, Indiana, and she's very well respected, loves doing this kind of work as well as doing stained glass restoration. Knowing that the glass on the storefronts are not tempered glass, we're going to have to replace the plate glass that's there to bring it up to code. So we'll have tempered glass there. It'll be clear because that's what it was originally with the building, is clear glass and not tinted. We also want to put a new roof on it. Of course, that'll be number 1 on the list to get that done, since it is currently leaking and has for a number of years. We also want to repair inside what's floor that is definitely rotten in the 101 or 105 room. You can look in there and see that it's kind of a big depression in there now because of the leaking roof and the floor joists that are in the basement. You can see those. At some point, somebody cut those and put 4x4 posts underneath of them, and now that all is not supporting the floor at all. So that all get taken care of. What we try to do with the building is take care of the whole outside, make sure that it's try to get it back to the original condition of the building, and then clean it out and have it ready for the next person or company that wants to take this project on to finish the inside. We try to get as many grants and public funds that we can. I know the BRAP committee is brand new with Newcastle Main Street through the Newcastle RDC, so the maximum on that building is $100,000 to be able to apply for those funds of the $400,000 that they have available. And that application is due June 15th. So if we're able to use those or we're able to, win, we would want to be able to access those funds. So time is of the essence, so to speak. We definitely want to clean out the inside and just get it ready for whoever might want to purchase the building. So through grants, we try to keep the purchase price low, so it makes it easier for the next developer to take on the project and do what they need to do, because everything inside is going to have to be brought up to code, HVAC, electric, plumbing, everything that would need to be done inside. So like I said, we've done this kind of project twice before, and it was 1321 Broad Street, 1321-23 Broad Street. I know those pictures are there in the back of the proposal. So that was an extensive restoration done. We were able to secure $100,000 worth of RDC funding and a $60,000 loan from Indiana Landmarks, and that was our first project. So we were able to restore windows, had to purchase new windows in part of it, had the tuck pointing done on the west wall and the back wall, and then the two interior, because that wasn't a full second story, there's a skylight in the center that feeds the first floor, so there were two brick walls there, and all that brick had to be restored. We had to put a new roof on it, and we had because that roof had leaked a number of years, then we had to do some joist work and subfloor repair, and that was done on the first floor and also on the second floor in that building. And as we were working on that project, then we had some inquiries, and of course, now we see that the cash has moved from Highway 3 into there, and now they have a prosperous business in that area, and they finished the inside, and if you've been in there, it's very, very nice. They did a great job of doing the work that needed to be done in there. The other project we've worked on is 103 West Main in Spiceland, and that's the old Wilson's Market building. And it's been Wilson's from the day it was built and opened. And, well, of course. And anybody that goes in there better keep the name Wilson's, because everybody will know where that goes. So, but I didn't complete all of 1321. We painted the brick on the front, did all of that. We rebuilt the storefront because the restoration or the rehab that was done back in the late 30s, early 40s created that central entryway with the two display case window storefronts and we took the one side we took it completely out. The other side we left it in case the new owner wanted to have those, but we put up, tried to go back to the original, get it very close to a straight storefront with the brick front of that building. So new windows, new doors, rebuilt column and brand new columns that because we had Brammer Construction do all of that work, and so he did all that in his workshop and made all that stuff. So we were able to find and keep 2 original steel posts that were there. Once we were starting to take off that storefront, then we found the prism glass, and it was a torch prism glass that's, as I'm told, is very rare, so we were able to have her do that, rebuild all of that. We didn't have enough pieces, so we had to rework some stuff. And then on 1323, we were able to purchase some panels from Edwards Jewelry Store because they had those stored in the basement. And so we made that deal, and we had those installed in 1323. So both sides used to have the prism glass tiles in there, and only 23 still had them in there behind the black glass panels, and then plywood, and then here was a glass panel, so or a glass tile. So we wanted to do that, and we were able to utilize a grant from Henry County Community Foundation to help with the painting of the front and the back, the window trim, of course, and then help with the purchase of that glass tiles for 1323. And of course, we left that money with the building and left the $100,000 with the building and just covered our carrying cost and the loan itself with Indiana Landmark. So we wanted to keep that purchase price down. The other project we've worked on is 103 West Main, as I said, and there had been rehab done on that building. They had made the windows smaller back in the 70s, I'm sure, you know, high energy costs and all that stuff. So some of the windows were covered up. We got a grant from the Community Foundation to restore the second floor windows, and so that was done by the firm that also did the windows here at the Murphy building for the city. Just a couple guys that went together, family, friends, and they do a good job of what they do. So we had that done. We repainted the whole windows and a trim on the building back to the original color of that green that used to be on there. We found that by just taking off some of the old paint, and then this was there. We had to repair a couple glass panels in the first floor, and then of course Wilson's Market, he closed the building and left everything inside. So we had a lot of material to take out of there, old cans, everything that the grocery store left. Then we took care of it. We had to get rid of that stuff. All the shelving we still have, which is available for sale, or a great deal if somebody would like to have that. But we were able to take out the drop ceiling in that building and take it back up to the original height, showing off the columns that were in there. There's steel I-beams in that building, and we also had to put a new roof on that. And of course, that was the first thing we did because it was leaking. Old buildings seem to need roofs every time you try to do something. So now we're waiting. We did sell that building, and we're waiting on them to get everything kind of going. We're still dealing with COVID. We're still dealing with a lot of other things, and financing is not like it used to be. So we're still waiting on that to happen, and I think that's it. So do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Do you have a time frame on when you think you're going to get your part done?
I stated in here it probably would take us close to 2 years to do this. The glass tiles are going to take some time to do that. We'll start with the one panel that's in the basement that goes in on the main center, and so because that's got the air conditioning vent and whatever the other thing, the return or whatever that is. We can start with that, and then, of course, the first thing we're going to do is the roof, and then as the contractors are available, then we'll get going on this. I really don't think it's going to take 2 years, but I don't want to overpromise because we've been waiting so long to, be able to do this project. Especially the brickwork, he's went on to other jobs. He's lined up jobs this year. So, but he, with 1321 Broad, Pedro was able to work in the wintertime on that project, and we know he can do that here too if so happens. Windows will have to be ordered, or glass will have to be ordered, and so who knows how soon that comes. But we've got everybody lined up and committed to wanting to be part of the project, and so we'll stick with that timeline, but think that we could probably get it done sooner than that. So,
When I know you've got a 2-year time frame and you've been involved trying to get something going on here for quite some time, do you have any prospects of someone who wants to occupy the building once you do get your part done?
I have not talked to anybody. What we've found the last 2 times we've done this is that people want to see the inside of the building. They see that something is getting done, and they want to stop in and take a look at it. And that's how has happened both times. Multiple times people have called, want to see it, come into the building, and so we expect the same thing to happen this time too. It is definitely a bigger project. As you can see, that budget is $360,000, and it has gone up since we started down this road. Glass has gone way up. But all the materials that are needed for this project have, I wouldn't say doubled in price, but they've certainly had a good share of increase just because. So we've had to increase that price, and so we're going to have, initially we can get going on it, and then we're just going to have to, go for that grant, try to do this grant, and try to get all the funding lined up as we go along to do what we've got to do to the building. Nobody's just sitting around waiting to hand you because we're still waiting to do the project. So that part of it is, we haven't even really talked much about that, but like in the past, I think we've got a pretty good chance of doing what we need to do in the time frame we want to do, and find the money along the way. So
I don't really have any questions. I do appreciate your interest in it, because there aren't too many people that are willing to tackle a project like this, and certainly will give you consideration. It's a big job. People get, like you say, once somebody starts, when you get it started, then people start coming around and looking at it, and every day you work on it, it becomes a smaller job.
yeah.
And as you get close to the end, then a lot more people get interested. So
Right.
certainly it's an option of a way to get started.
Yeah, and with the way we want to do, try to keep the same colors, try to keep the same look as the building, find that last 4 feet of roof tile that's in the northwest corner of the building. Everything else is in great shape. It's surprising after how long this building was built, I think around 1910, 1911, something like that, and to see how good a shape all that tile work is in.
But the metal tile?
No, the tile that's along the top edge.
Oh,
all
the
trim.
outside tile,
Yeah,
the
out-
white.
right, all
Yeah.
that kind of off yellow, all that tile, it's terracotta tile, and so surprisingly great shape considering as old as it is. So
That's in remarkable shape, since it hadn't really had a whole lot of maintenance. I guess it was built to last.
yeah, they don't make that tile that way anymore. All right, good enough. Thank you. Okay.
Did you tell them the history of our group?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes.
Like how long we've been in existence, history?
I think you can go ahead. I think we're all aware, but you can go ahead and please do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I apologize I was late. The construction on 38 in Noblesville is interesting. I just wanted to say, in addition to all the hard work that Jeff does to put these proposals together, our group has been in existence since 2003. And I only realized that because I was updating my resume, and when I moved back into town in 2003, Wayne Goodman, who is also a former resident, had enlisted me and several other people locally to get involved to what I believe turned into the Preservation Commission with the city. And then we kind of went dormant for a while, and then Jeff reinvigorated our group several years ago to get the 13, 21, and 23 buildings started. So our committee members are all local. I've lived in Newcastle since 1977. Unfortunately wasn't born here. I didn't have a choice in that matter, but this has been my home. Our committee members are all from Newcastle and born and raised in the county, and are committed to keeping the county improving. And I miss our downtown, and I see the improvements we're making and want to continue to be a part of that. So I know sometimes in the proposals that gets lost in translation, but I just felt like it was important that you know that we're not just some group that's coming in. We're local, we're invested in our community, and we want important things to come into the community. So it's not like we're going to do it, dump it, and run away. So that's what we're motivated for. So thank you, and I apologize I was late.
Oh,
So-
no worries. All right, thank you very much.
So much construction.
Thank you. Mr. McGlory.
Good evening. Yeah, good evening. Everyone hear me? Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is my second time in your city, and it's like a lot of other cities. It's a great city. Just the twice I've been here, and just talking with the individual in terms of getting information, I can say that, I've always felt that you're doing a great job, and I can attest the fact that you want to preserve that building. I am an architect. I basically was raised in Chicago. I went to the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, the other Big Ten in Anna, and so I know a lot about
I'm so
the
sorry.
university.
I'm an IU grad. So sorry.
But anyway, the Big Ten rules, and so I guess it's the Big 12, but Anyway, I went there, finished architecture school, and I was fortunate to join VISTA, which is what we call Volunteering Service to America, for 2 years. The current organization that's resembling that is AmeriCorps. And so I was able to be placed in the Twin City, Minneapolis, St. Paul, as a community architect for 2 years, where I helped I not only provide service to all the residents that lived in this neighborhood, and we also, the organization self-renovated some houses. So I did that for 2 years. It's very rewarding. Then I worked for a company that worked in other countries, India, Madagascar, Africa, for 2 years. And again, it was a very rewarding experience. And then I worked for a pretty large architecture firm for 2 years. And then I worked for the last 24 years before retiring with the St. Paul Public School, where I couldn't think of anything greater than building and designing schools for children. So I did that for 24 years and decided when I retired that I would pursue a childhood dream of having my own firm. And so I started Architect McGlory Studio. And one thing that I learned over my 30-plus years working in the field of architecture is that you're working for the client. And I'm still waiting for the ideal client. And so when I started my firm, I was very fortunate and blessed that I get 2 checks every month. I get a Social Security check the 4th Wednesday, and I get my private pension, which is a very generous pension from St. Paul School, the 1st of the month. So whether I have a client or not, I'm blessed. So most of my projects that I've worked on since I had my firm, I'm the client. And therefore, that's about the perfect client you're going to get. So this project here, not only will I be the architect, but I will be the developer. So I believe that my motto for my firm is to exceed everyone's expectation every day. And my experience is that it's kind of very sad because most people, a lot of people lower their expectation. And so that's the biggest challenge because I come in with people that have really low expectation because they say, well, we've been having this building vacant for 10 years, so we just want someone to just come and do something. Oh, you don't have to put an elevator in. You don't have to do this. We just want it up and coming. And I say, if I'm going to do this project, it's going to have an elevator. Because my viewpoint is, first of all, to do this, I'm not going to do it by myself. There has to be a lot of collaboration, from funding to just work. So therefore, shouldn't a disabled person have the same rights as anyone else? Why should they come into this building where I might have gotten $500,000 from the government and they can't even go to all the floors? So my motto is that I want to exceed people's expectation because that's what we should do. If we're here to serve everyone, that's what I do. So my approach to this project is that I have an ideal where I think could work, but that's my ideal. The ideal ultimately is to come here. If I'm chosen to do this, I will immediately create minimum 4 community engagement meetings where I bring all the stakeholders and say, this is my ideal, but really, if you all don't buy into it and don't think this is what you want, then we can start over. Because I know the success of this project isn't my ideal. And it's only going to be my ideal if it reinforces your ideals and dreams. And therefore, I believe that there are no winners and losers. that my motto is that the way I'm going to be the biggest winner in this is that I'm going to make that building the biggest winner ever for a project. When I do projects, I intend on it winning an award, because we do what the people really want here, and what I expect, it's going to be entered. And so I look at this project, a lot of times you say, well, we're going to rent to someone. You know what? I'm going to create 2 companies. I'm going to create a restaurant company. That's assuming that the community say this is what they want. I'm going to create a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant, and then on the top 2 floors, I'm going to put a boutique hotel. Usually when I travel, my preference is to stay in bed and breakfast in. It tends to more to my character. It's more one-one. It's like usually if you stay in a hotel with 1,000 people, you know, there's not that much diversity there. But many hotels I stay in, there might only be 10, 12 people there. But I got 3 people from other countries that I'm talking to. Those things I don't experience a lot of time when I stay in big hotels like the Hilton. And so that's one reason why I've always had affinity for a hotel. And I say that because if the community says, we don't need that, we don't want that, then why should I force it on them? Because it's for them, it's not for me. And so my view is that I won't have to wait for someone to come in me and say, I want to put a hotel there. I won't have to wait for someone to come here and say, I want to do a fine dining restaurant. And the reason I say that, I work on projects in the Twin City, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And the typical developer that come into, especially neighborhoods, their first thing is that we just want to put low-income housing, and we don't want to put any retail. It doesn't work. And then they say, and plus we can't invite any national chain to do that. So the community have to settle. I shouldn't say the community. The city settle and let the developer off the hook. And so what I'm saying is that I'm not going to wait for a national developer, because if I was waiting for a national developer, they're not going to come to this project. And so I'm going to form, I will be, a family member will be on site the year round. I hope to be here about 3 times out of the year. And my son will be running it. He is a chef. So this is, and I think that's what you have to do. You can't rely on people. They say you build it and they will come. For some strange reason, that doesn't work for Main Street. You know, it works for Wall Street, but it doesn't work for Main Street. And so we can build it, but they're not coming. And we are the ones that we've been waiting for. So I started the project where the project is about $2 million. It's about $1.8 million, and then there's about $200,000 contingency. I tend to always go high. I tell people when I got married 41 years ago, it'd be May 16th. That's why I had to get back home quickly to go take my wife. We're going somewhere for our anniversary. But we were getting married, and I told my wife that we're going to start small, because every wedding that I know always got larger. So if we start large, that means it's going to get larger. And so my view is the opposite with projects. you have to start high, price very conservative, knowing that you can go lower. So I feel very comfortable. Basically, it's about 13,000 square feet if you include the basement. And even if you average $100 a square foot, that would be 1.3 million. So it's averaging a little bit more than 1.3 million dollars. So I feel very comfortable. I've worked on a project currently. I'm finishing about 13,000 square foot building, the 927 building, where it was about 4,000 was added to a already about 8,000 square foot building. It's like about $6.7 million. I was not the developer on there, and personally, I think it's I told the owner numerous times that I think that if he had got more competitive bids, he probably could have saved $1 million on the project. But that's one reason why I say that I'm my own owner. And so that was one project. That would be opening in about a month or two. And then currently I've been working on a project. It's a long project. It's been about 2 years, called Baldwin Square. First of all, both projects are very similar. We bought the building. The owner bought the building from the city of Minneapolis for $1. And they have a variety of programs. I'm not as familiar here, but I've started the process here looking at the various source of funding. But basically, our Baldwin Square project is a typical example of how the city of Minneapolis works. Basically, it's a $5.5 million project. The budget for that is $3.5 million. So that means about $2 million is soft costs. And so we got $3.5 million that's secure, that's free. So we're currently working on the last $2 million, which would be the bank loan. And so that typical project have what they call New Market Tax Credit, which is a national program. Just every state and locality have, and usually it goes through a financial institution like a bank. And so usually New Market Tax Credit can get you about lower 20% tax credit, which is what ultimately is free money. And then because this building is not necessarily historical, but it's in a historic district, that means most national programs have a 20% historical tax credit. Most other states, but I just did a little preliminary research here, Indiana, for some strange reason, they usually match that by 20% with the federal government, but for some strange reason, it seemed like the legislature changed at one point, and they went to giving grants out to like nonprofit. And so I'm going to pursue trying to get 20% in addition to the federal historical credit. One reason why it's advantageous for states to do that is that it's not money coming from the government, the state, the taxes. It comes from private investors. So really, it's puzzling why you would eliminate a program that actually brings in private money and it's not taken from the state. So but at the least, it'll be 20% from the federal government. And and so the project, we got 3.5, we got $1 million from the state. And the reason we got $1 million from the state of Minnesota is that we showed that we were creating 53 new jobs. And of those 53 new jobs, the average was $20 per hour. And they gave us, that was one of the reasons why they gave us $1 million grant for that. In this project, I anticipate we will create 10 to 15 new jobs, and the minimum would be 15, and the average would be $21. And based on that, I will approach the state and try to get some kind of assistance just for doing that. And the other thing, too, is that we're not a nonprofit. I'm not downing nonprofit, but we want to put this property back on the tax roll. It increases the tax roll for Newcastle. It increases the taxes for the state. And so I'm a firm believer in that, you know, I don't want to take property or keep property off the tax roll. So that's another reason why the state of Minnesota gave us $1 million, because we were taking a building that had been vacant for 10 years, not getting any taxes, and now we're putting it back on the tax roll. The other thing, too, we got $750,000 from the city of Minneapolis, a grant, because it's in the inner city, and it add to that neighborhood. And then we got another $350,000 from the county, and we got another $120,000 for cleanup from the Met. So what I'm saying is that basically, I believe in exhausting all sources of revenue that are developed specific for a building like that, and utilizing that. And so basically, I would like to entertain any question concerning my proposal, but we do intend on having, I have another partner called Pam Bennett. I given her she couldn't be here because her daughter is actually graduating in medical school at Michigan. And so she wanted to be here. She's very excited to be part of this project. She is original from Indianapolis, and she's relocating. She already does have some business interests in Indianapolis in terms of properties and stuff. Her husband just retired as a doctor himself. And so she's going to be the other 50%. And as you know, normally we have that we're going to put up ourselves 5%. And we always have more than we have, always operate this way. If you only have a plan A, most likely it's not going to happen. So what I usually have is a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. So my plan A is really if everything goes right, we will only have a $500,000 mortgage. And I intend on getting that from a local bank. If that doesn't work, then probably the next would be a national bank that would be, their closest branch might be in Indianapolis. Right now, I currently bank with Wells Fargo, and then I bank with a local bank. But Wells Fargo is, I'm pretty sure, have a bank in Indianapolis. So if a local bank doesn't work here, I probably will pursue Wells Fargo, our Indianapolis. And in terms of the improvement to the property, it's all going to be done in conjunction with the approval of the Indiana Landmark Group. I say that because the only reason we probably still have this building today is because of them. And so, therefore, we're going to try to complete the job. And so I think we have enough money, and that's the part that I play, is that, come here and say, well, we're going to do this for $700,000. It's not going to happen, especially if you start talking about are really a building that will add to the downtown. And so my wife said I talk too much, so I'm gonna stop. And any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, Andrew, about how much time, say we were to enter into an agreement, about how much time, since most of this financing, how long do you think you would, before you would know whether you could secure this financing?
I would say that within 6 months, I intend on having all that finalized. I look at that as the pre-construction, 6 months, and that include getting input and stuff from the clients and working simultaneously. I don't believe in doing one thing at one time. So we'll be planning it. First of all, we're going to get a planning grant. We're going to start with some seed money. Just, it takes money to plan things. So my guess is that you probably almost need like $100,000 just to get for the 6 months that you're doing all of this. And so that's 6 months. And see, I'm used to working. When I worked with St. Paul School, we had to get most of our work done between May and August. And so I remember the year I retired, it was nothing for me, just myself, managing several projects that we got $10 million worth of work done in 12 weeks. So I look at the construction for this as 8 months. I'm a believer in that what you do when you start a project, the first thing you do is identify all the lead item times. So even probably before you finish the construction document, you already order those things. And those things tend to be windows, steel, and maybe some equipment. So usually, if those are 4 months lead time, you need to have them ordered before you even start construction. So they're coming in terms of the phase. You can't wait till you get the money from the bank and all of that and then say, we're going to bid the contract and get that. So basically, I look at it as about 14-month process. I say that because the $5.5 million project we do, I don't know how they do things here, but that project is a 6 months project. And the contractor I'm using did another project like that in 5 months. So I think 8 months is, 8 months is like about $200,000 a month in terms of construction costs. And so
Well, Ed kind of got it answered for me. I was just wondering, that total time frame, the 14 months, you expect to be open and operational at that point?
Yes. And of course, the first thing, and the good thing about it is that the construction season shouldn't have an impact on this project because it's an existing building. So you should be able to get the outside work done. Probably we won't start till the spring of next year because a lot of times working in the winter is very cost inefficient. You might work 4 months, but you only did 1 month worth of work. So usually I prefer just wait until the spring. So most likely wait, if we take up about 6 months, we probably won't start, we can start on inside work, and that's the good thing about this project. It's not like a new construction where it is predicated on, you wouldn't want to start a new building in October, for example, because most of the exterior you're going to be doing in the winter. So if I was doing a new building, yeah, I wouldn't start this until like April. You know, the ground is thaw, you know, and those kind of things. And then when you're working in the winter, you have to include winter conditions. You know, it snows, you got to, you know, and so I imagine that and mind you, the good thing about this project is that it could be done in phase, which means that you could put together just an exterior package that gets done even within the 6 months period. And so when you come in when you come doing construction for the interior, you know. And so that's the good thing about this project, is it's not a new construction.
So could you repeat again? You said you'll have several community engagement meetings with the county, city, Indiana landmarks. Could you repeat? I know you listed, but
First of all, you'll have the state. The state is, a lot of people don't think about it, but the state have a lot, in fact, a lot of money that comes through the federal comes through the state. And so the state would be an entity, like then the county, and then, you know, if there's a regional entity, which a lot of entities have, like we have a metro council that deals with a little higher up from the county, in between the county and the state. So we have the county, the city, and then we'll have residents. And the first thing we'll start with making a presentation. Any comments? Does this exceed your expectation or it doesn't? And a lot of times what I find out is that the community group, like the $5.5 million project we're doing, the community came to us and they said, I don't see how you're going to do that. You know, I said, you know what I don't want you to do is worry about whether we can get 5.5 million. What I want you to concentrate on is what we've told you we want to do. And if that's what you want, then we're going to get that, because the city said they're committed to this project. And so why wouldn't, especially if the city has programs and the state has programs, then, and so we finally had them to buy into, just tell us whether this is what you want. So we were very different when we went up to the state to ask for money, and a lot of people determined that, well, you can't appeal to both. You either got to appeal to the Democrat or you got to appeal to the Republican. And so my view in the state of Minnesota, the Democrat controlled the House, and the Republican controlled the Senate. Well, we know the way government worked, and of course the governor is a Democrat. We know that the Senate controls everything, because there are certain things that the Senate can vote on that they don't even ask the House to vote on. It's the same thing as the U.S. representative. The Congress doesn't even have any say-so on the Supreme Court. It's the Senate. And many things can pass in the House, but the Senate says no. It's that way. So our approach was that we're going to have a project that's nonpartisan. And you know why it's nonpartisan? Because we're creating 53 jobs. So why will a Democrat or Republican have a problem with that? We're going to be paying $21 an average for the job. So why would a Democrat or Republican have a problem with that? We're not asking to take a property off the tax roll. Why would a Democrat or Republican have? In fact, There are no community people coming to the state saying, do not do this project. Most projects that were coming to the state of Minnesota, you have one group against it, you have another group for it. Our project was the only project that there was no one in opposition to it. And so I believe that the way you get project done, you shouldn't have any opposition, because if those things are being met, you know, then so I'm a firm believer in that if you create a project where all these people in, you get a result like that. So yeah, we do intend on doing that. I'd like to say I have the best idea, but sometimes I get surprised. And so wouldn't it be wonderful if out of that a better idea came than my idea? I can't see that now, but that doesn't mean it can't, because when you get different people together, amazing things happen. So that's why I believe in the process.
But both of your ideas for this building,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they would work. We have a big shortage of a hotel room.
Yeah.
So even though it's not a big hotel, there's always people visiting relatives around here. There's events in the county where most people stay outside the county in a different hotel. So I think the hotel part of it would work very well, and that's 2 floors of it. The other part is a restaurant.
Yes.
And we have more than our share of fast food restaurants, but we don't have a whole lot of good restaurants where people can go, and the coffee shop and whatnot.
Right.
So the whole concept really sounds good to me.
And
I like both ideas.
And you know, the thing about it is that when I say I have Plan B, I actually have a Plan C, because Plan B had more to do with if the local finance isn't with a local bank here. And take my word, my preference would be to have the local bank here. But you know, that's just mine. It might not work. I'm an outsider, so I don't have the relationship with the banker that I have in the Twin Cities. I do have a relationship. I've been banking with Wells Fargo for 40 plus years. I always tell them that they are a lousy bank, but there's no other bank that can do what they do. So I've been there for 41 years, and so I do have a relationship. And I know that's very important. Very obvious that if I start the business here, the bank will be the bank that I will use to do my business hour, whether they finance it or not. But the lot next door gives me option C, and
the parking lot,
well,
or
with
the
the
empty-
vacant land, really.
the empty
Empty
lot,
lot.
not parking lot. Yeah.
You don't know how much I would like the lot, but you know, either it will be or it won't be. It won't be because not trying. I would be even willing to go probably beyond the market value for the property, only because it could make this project even greater. My view is that if the person wants to sell it, I will buy it. I say that because if I offer the person more than what the fair market price is, then he just doesn't want to sell. And you can't make a person sell something that they don't want to sell. But it won't because I'm not offering him a fair market price. Usually the way I try to negotiate, I start with, the first thing I do is look up the assessed value, and I automatically start with 20% more. And I do that because I don't have an idea, but I believe a starting point should be a starting point. And a lot of people that I've coached and tell them that I think it's the wrong approach, what they do, they look at the assessed value, and then they try to offer them less than the assessed value. I think that's very disrespectful. It sets the wrong tone. And so usually the most important thing is when I meet someone new is I try to be at my best of who I am. And so I immediately tell the person, I don't know how much your property is worth. I know it's assessed for this amount. I'm going to give you 20% more. That's going to be the starting point. I'm not saying that's why I think you should sell your property. I'm saying that's the point that I'm going to start with. And of course, in my mind, I have a maximum, but it really depends on how important I think the property is. I think this is a very important property. I think this is a property that, you know, you could pay 100% more than what's it worth, because I think it's that critical to this project. So I say that it would be wonderful if the person wants to sell, I will buy the property.
Any more questions? Do you have any questions? More questions, Ed? Steve? So I'm going to ask you guys how you want to move forward tonight and our next step.
I do have one more question for you.
Okay, no problem.
As far as the exterior of the building, do you plan on trying to maintain the exterior?
Oh, yeah, it will be done. Everything, wait like this. Whatever she wants will be done.
Isn't it great to just have that kind of power?
No, when I say that, because they've been the custodian of this building. And first of all, I want to commend the county. You know, I'm sure they didn't force you to do this, but you didn't have to do it. You know, you could either say tear that thing down, you know, and you could even say go tear it down, but you didn't, and that's courageous. And hopefully, you know, by this time, you know, next year, we will be all celebrating as big winners.
We could discuss a stretch in an executive session. Okay. Okay. So do you want to schedule an executive session next week?
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to go. We schedule executive sessions.
So the soonest to get notice, the soonest we could do it would be Tuesday? Is that right? If we notice it, well, no, tomorrow's kind of quick to get it noticed tomorrow. On Tuesday. You check your calendar. Yeah. That's okay.
Morning would be best for me.
Okay. All right. Would the 18th work better for you, or is there a day that's better for you, Joel? I know we want to work around your schedule. 17th then. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I can do the 18th. Can you do the 18th, Ed? 18th?
I'm like Ed. Some of us don't do everything on our phone, I'm sorry.
If it's not there, it doesn't happen. Okay, so how about we say the 18th at 10 o'clock in the morning, 18th at 10, tentatively 18th at 10 o'clock for the executive session. And then that will give us, we'll make the decision in the public meeting on the 25th, which is our next commissioners meeting. Okay, so executive session on the 18th. and then we'll make the final decisions and discussions on the 25th. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you both for coming.
Yes, thank you
especially
both very
coming
much.
from Minnesota. Really appreciate that.
Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Oh, wait, go ahead.
What time is the meeting on the 25th?
It's at 6 o'clock. Yeah, the 25th at 6 o'clock. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Any other questions? Our executive session will be May 18th, and our public commissioners meeting is May 25th, Wednesday, May 25th at 6 o'clock. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Meeting
Second.
adjourned. Thank you all.